First, apologies, I was logged out when I was trying to connect. I want to welcome everyone to this month 14th alumni lecture titled Agile Procurement, Key to Successful Supply Chain Excellence. We are in a world that is fast changing and things are changing fast. The way our fathers used to do business transactions is no longer the way things are today. Things have changed, a lot has changed, and it has also got into the procurement process. So that is why I have the privilege to welcome both the academic environment of the University of Ibadan, our engineers in the business and practicing in different fields and professions, and also our students to this 14th alumni lecture. It's going to be an exciting one, an insightful one where we will all gain in tonight's lecture. Now I have to recognize the presence of our own DVC, RISP, that is Research, Innovation, and Strategic Partnership, in person of Professor Oluyemisi. She is Bangoshe SAN.
Good evening to everybody. Thank you. Hello, Professor Ladokun.
While our moderator is still battling with
Okay, thank
tech,
you.
I want to thank you for coming. Allow me to just step in a bit. Internet could be a bit tricky. I want to thank our chairman for today, Engineer Lawrence Adedokun, and we appreciate you as being a good support to the department. And if I must confess at this point, that we'll be having this program for the past 1 year. Uh, Engineer Adedokun actually procure for us the Zoom license for a whole year that we'll be using. So we appreciate him and other support he has been given. So at this point, we want to call the chairman for his remark uh, and his opening remark before we move forward. The chairman, sir, Engineer Lawrence Adedokun. Engineer Adedokun, you can unmute and I want to hear your voice. Is Engineer Lawrence still there? Our chairman, your opening remark? It's okay.
Sorry, your audio.
It appears as if I
Sorry,
hear his
your
voice.
audio.
We cannot hear him, please.
Can you adjust your audio a bit? The audio is, try again. We almost had you the last time.
Hello?
You are clear now.
Oh, sorry about that. My bad. I was actually thinking that the meeting starts in an hour because our time went back an hour this weekend, so it kind of set me back there. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Morning or afternoon or evening to everybody here right now, depending on our geographical location at the moment. And I would like to welcome us to the 14th Industrial and Production Engineering Association Alumni Lecture Series. I want to respectfully acknowledge the special guest of honor, Professor Oluwayemisi Bangboshi, SAN, DV, Research Institute and Strategic Partnership, UI. I also want to acknowledge our guest of honor, Professor A.O. Adewuyi, Dean, School of Business, UI. Our guest speaker, Engineer Yemisi Ashimolowo, Head Planning and Procurement, May and Baker Nigerian PLC. And respectfully, I want to acknowledge our host, Professor Victor Oladokun, the Head Industrial and Production Engineering Department, UI. It gives me immense pleasure to commend the effort of Professor Oladokun and his team on driving this highly beneficial hybrid alumni series. These lectures have been very beneficial in knowledge transfer, as well as showcasing the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering, UI, in its ability to strategically partner with its alumni. I graduated in the University of Ibadan, BSc program of Industrial and Production Engineering in the year 2002. I worked briefly at Metalom Limited, Lagos, as a technical officer in the manufacturing section there.
And thereafter, I joined Michelin Tire Factory, Port Harcourt, for about a year as an industrial engineer before heading out to Chalmers University of Technology, Sweden, where I did a postgraduate degree in quality and operations management. I moved to Calgary in year 2010, and I worked with Ecom Canada Limited up until 2018. And within this period, I was a key team member of the Building and Places group. I was privileged to enjoy and have fun, in the development of many life-changing projects here in the city of Calgary and beyond. Projects such as the Calgary International Airport expansion, including the installation of new runway, the Children's Hospital in Calgary, the new Children's Hospital, and the Cancer Research Center, and several CBE schools. Also involved in this construction of stormwater management system in midsection city of Calgary. I was also a key role player in many of the Shell downstream facilities, the assist stores and car wash design and installations, to say a few. And in the year 2018, I launched MAFTA Construction. It's an engineering construction company here in the city of Calgary and Alberta as well. And we have since continued to be impactful in the residential, institutional, commercial construction space in Calgary and environment. So in today's fast-paced project execution landscape, there is ever-increasing emphasis on flexibility, collaboration, and iterative development of, for the purpose of delivering value to customers through continuous improvement and adaptation. To achieve this, an excellent supply chain is a critical component. And so, with much excitement and learning anticipation, I join everyone here to welcome once again our guest speaker, Engineer Yemisi Ashimolowo, as she makes our presentation on Agile procurement, a key supply chain for key supply chain excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I will now listen to the goodwill message from our own Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research, Innovation and Strategic Partnership, our own Professor Yemisi Bangboje, SAN. Ma, we want to hear your voice, ma.
Thank you very much. The chairman of this occasion, a proud alumnus of the University of Ibadan, Engineer Lawrence Adedokun. Please let me say that we are very proud of you. And thank you very much for facilitating this. It is good to know that the Zoom license for the department was given by you. Thank you for giving back to the university, especially your department. Thank you for not forgetting your department. The guest honor, the Professor Adewuyi, the host and the HOD of Industrial and Production Engineering, Professor Oladokun. Thank you very much. And the guest speaker, practitioners that are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, students, lecturers. I also join Engineer Adedokun in saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sure that in Calgary, it's good morning. That was why Engineer Adedokun said good morning. Well, it's night here, Engineer Adedokun, so good evening from Nigeria. wherever
Thank
you are
you.
joining from, and a warm welcome to this 14th edition of the Industrial and Production Engineering Alumni Lecture Series. It is an absolute pleasure to see all of you here today as we come together to explore the fascinating world of agile procurement and its significance as the key to achieving supply chain excellence. The University of Ibadan takes immense pride in its alumni scattered all across the globe. And Engineer Adedokun, you are definitely one of them. We are thrilled to celebrate and showcase their accomplishments. Our alumni are a valuable source of goodwill, connection, and resources, particularly as higher education in Nigeria faces resource constraints and intense competition. Thus, I wholeheartedly endorse the concept of a regular alumni lecture series by the Industrial and Production Engineering Alumni Association as a commendable initiative. I assure you that the Vice Chancellor and the entire management team will provide unwavering support to the department. In today's rapidly evolving business landscape, it has become imperative for organizations to adapt and respond swiftly to the ever-changing demands and challenges imposed by a global market. The success of any company, regardless of its size or industry, lies in its ability to procure goods and services efficiently, effectively, and in a manner that optimizes the entire supply chain process. The conventional procurement process can no longer serve this new normal world and the dynamic market conditions. Hence, the need to optimize the end-to-end supply chain process for better customer satisfaction. Agile procurement is becoming the most effective procurement method globally to address these changing market conditions. Agile procurement, the focal topic of today's lecture, highlights the importance of embracing flexibility, adaptability, and innovation within the procurement function. It demands a departure from traditional procurement practices and encourages the implementation of dynamic strategies that not only streamline operations, but also enhance overall supply chain performance. The choice of today's lecture title, Agile Procurement, Key to Supply Chain Excellence, is both fitting and timely, especially in the context of Nigeria. Recent global events such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the conflict in Ukraine have caused significant disruption to the global supply chain, necessitating a re-evaluation of supply chain management. It has become imperative to embrace agile business processes that can adapt to emerging disruptive business models and technologies. Our university, for instance, is undergoing transformation and continually reevaluating our business models to maintain our status as a leader in our field. Therefore, I believe the lecture's title is highly relevant in a world grappling with constant disruptions. I am confident that today's lecture will present new challenges and valuable insights that will benefit all aspects of a professional practice. I wish all attendees an enlightening and enjoyable lecture. I would like to express my appreciation and extend congratulations to today's lecturer for graciously accepting the honor of delivering this prestigious lecture. It is worth noting that this marks the third lecture presented by a female alumni of the department. So, Engineer Yemisi, that's my namesake, Ashimolowo, I really celebrate you. Your achievements as a female engineer will undoubtedly inspire more young girls to pursue careers in engineering, traditionally considered a male-dominated field. This bodes well for the profession's future. I would like to express my gratitude to the event organizers, especially Professor Victor Oladokun, the head of department, for extending an invitation to participate in this 14th edition. I must commend the department for their enthusiastic involvement with the Alumni Association. This initiative aligns with the direction set by the university's management, led by my Vice Chancellor, the 13th Vice Chancellor, Professor K.O. Adebowale, MNI FAS, who previously served as the special guest of honor during the inaugural event in October 2022. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us today, and let us embark on this enlightening journey together. Thank you. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for your goodwill message and the word of encouragement and the promise of support to our department. We are very grateful, ma'am. While I'm still looking out for Paula Day Oshun to come back to the platform so I can continue as our MC, but allow me to continue. One of my use this opportunity to invite the guest of honor. I'm trying to see if it's around. I saw his name there, but I'm wondering whether he used another name. But he's the dean of will require some time. It's my boss at the School of Business, and it's our guest speaker. Special guest of honor. Guest of honor tonight. So, sir, if you are there, we want to hear your goodwill message, sir. Professor A.O. Adewuye, the Dean, University of Ibadan School of Business, sir. Is the Dean around? I saw the host. You can try and make Esther Adewuye. I saw a name. He's there. My Dean is now a co-host. So, my Dean, sir, we want to hear your voice, sir, and your goodwill message. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Let me start by, first of all, thank the organizers of this program, especially the head of Department of Industrial and Production Engineering for this very beautiful initiative and very good topic, given the kind of work, the word that we are hearing. Let me also thank our dear DVC, Research, Innovation and Strategic Partnership, to be part of this program. When our dear DVC was speaking, I was unable to hear very well, and I know that she has already given us words of inspiration, especially to the department and the students that are trying to look at what is going on all over the world. Let me also thank our guest speaker, the guest speaker of today, our dear Madam Engineer Yemisi Ashimolowo, who is our guest speaker of today, and I believe that we are all going to learn a lot from your discussion. Well, looking at the topic of today that we are working on, we will see that the topic that we should all be associated with, especially people around that are working on the supply chain management. And I believe that the essence of today's discussion is to be able to show us what is going on around the world, because things have changed. Nobody now use the conventional or the traditional way of embarking on procurement. Now you see that the whole world have moved into establishing a global value chain, which all firms all around the world must engage with. We no longer battle with the local value chain, but the global one. So we have somebody here who is more knowledgeable, who is a practitioner that will be able to put us through and be able to expose us to what is going on in Nigeria and around the world. So in the light of it, I want to congratulate all the participants here today, and also our dear Vice Chancellor for bringing up departments that will expose us to innovations around the world. I also want to thank the HOD again, and also the students of the department, including the alumni. This is a great opportunity for all of us to learn. Myself, I will keep my hand crossed, just like every other person here, to listen to our guest speaker, which I know that is going to nourish us full today. And by the end of the day, you know that everybody will go out of here very happy. So thank you very much. God bless everyone.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Adeosun, you can continue with the moderation. I'm glad your system is back.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Adewale Adewuyi, for that. We will now move on to the reading of the speaker citation. That will be taken by our own chairman. Chairman, sir, the reading of the citation.
The citation will be taken by Dr. Kazim.
Okay. All right, so
Dr. Kazim will take the citation of our guest speaker.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dotsun Kazim, please help us with the citation of our guest speaker.
Good evening, everybody. All protocols duly observed. I will now read the citation of our guest speaker. Yemisi Ashimolowo is a trained industrial engineer and certified supply chain professional. She has over 10 years of experience in supply chain management, spanning strategic sourcing, procurement, planning, category management, supplier management, inventory management, and logistics for pharmaceutical, consumer goods, and automobile industries. She has consistently added value and proven her expertise in driving continuous improvement opportunities and best practices towards streamlining processes and improve efficiency within the supply chain space. Her expertise lies in her solid academic background in industrial and production engineering and master's in engineering management, both from the prestigious University of Ibadan, and her professional diploma in logistics and supply chain management from the College of Supply Chain Management, Lagos. Yemisi has several professional certifications, amongst which are certified supply chain analyst. Okay, hold on, I cannot see that part of my screen. Okay, certified supply chain analyst by ISCEA and chartered supply chain management professional, ACISM by CISM. She started her career with Pharmadeco Nigeria PLC as a procurement officer, and thereafter worked with Kia Nigeria PLC vehicle assembly plants as a supply chain supervisor, where she coordinated a team of 15 graduate engineers and also assisted in training and development of new employees in various functional areas of supply chain. In 2015, she joined CFAO Yamaha Motor Nigeria Limited, where she worked as a production supply planner for the motorcycle assembly plants. After about 2.5 years, she secured her first managerial role at Grand Oak Limited as an assistant manager. As assistant manager supply chain, where she was responsible for materials and requirements planning for 2 factories and procurement of materials for production use. In 2020, she had a short stint with Reckitt Benckiser as a supply planner before moving to May and Baker Nigeria PLC as a procurement manager. She currently works with May and Baker Nigeria PLC, a publicly quoted pharmaceutical company certified by WHO as head planning and procurement, where she is responsible for the central planning and procurement activities of the company. EMC is the founder of Source Screen Company Limited, a sourcing, procurement, and supply chain consulting advisory firm focused on helping small, medium, and established businesses optimize their procurement functions while developing supply chain strategies for a sustainable future. Oluwayemisi is quite passionate about gender inclusion and breaking of glass ceilings in the supply chain space. Join me as I welcome our guest speaker for today.
Thank you so much. That was a very warm welcome. Thank you, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, we can hear you.
I hope I'm
Yes,
audible.
Yes, you
All right.
are.
Okay. So thank you everyone once again, and good day. I'll join Professor Yemisi in also greeting good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, depending on your location. So today, let me share my screen so we can take it up. All right. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we could. Yes.
All right. Okay, so that's fine. So before I go ahead, I would like to also, with all due respect, acknowledge special guests that are here, and I'll be starting with a special guest of honor, Professor Oluyemisi Bangbose, who is the DVC RISP of University of Ibadan, and also the guest of honor, Professor A.O. Adewuyi, and our able chairman for this 14th IPA lecture with Engineer Lawrence Adedokun, and also to the head of Department of Industrial and Production Engineering, Professor Oladokun, and to every of my lecturer, the professors. I think I've also seen Professor Oluleye, Dr. Kolawole, and please, if I have not mentioned your name, this is me saying thank you. So right into it. So this is a brief outline of today's lecture. I'm going to briefly introduce us into supply chain management and procurement, and also talk about the current challenges we face in the conventional procurement process. And thereafter, I'll talk about supply chain excellence briefly. Of course, our focus today is to see how agile procurement can be used as a leverage to supply chain excellence. So I'm going to be talking about the different key features of Agile procurement and also the benefits. And then thereafter we conclude. Okay. So I'm sure everyone on this platform would at one point or the other must have heard about supply chain management. And in simple terms, it just means processes involved from getting an idea developed into a final product for customers' use, basically. Just as activities within the organization to fulfill customers is not only limited to goods. There are different flow, and this would include the flow of goods, the flow of information, and funds. And globally, the supply chain model that has sort of been used to put supply chain management into perspective is the chain operations reference model. And that speaks to 6 key areas of supply chain, which is the planning, the source, the make, deliver, return, and enable. I'm going to briefly talk about that because our emphasis today is on the source part where procurement falls into. But the planning, the SCORE model basically talks about every process involved in generating hired to produce goods to meet our customers' demand. The source part talks about the different processes involved in sourcing for your material, sourcing for vendors or suppliers to get the raw materials or the services that is required to be rendered to be able to meet your customers' needs. This make part talks about production. Part of it is also production, where all of these materials are transformed to getting the final product which your customer would use. And then the deliver part of it is the logistics aspect, where after the goods have been produced, there's always a road to market, see a distribution network to ensure that your customer gets these products that you have actually, planned for, sourced, and made. And the next part of this model is the return. Of course, there are times where you produce a product, it goes into the market, and there's 1 or 2 reasons why that product needs to be returned or retrieved. It could be to different reasons, it could be to factory error or some other issues. And the last part of it is the enable. And this talks about every process, that is involved within those first 5 models that hate the management of the supply chain. So we are talking about the contracts, talking about the contract, talking about compliance. So basically the enabled part of about every other process, a leverage. So as I've also said, the SCORE model describes all business activities associated with satisfying a customer's demand. Now, my focus today would be on the source part, which is where procurement falls. And in simple terms, procurement can be defined as all processes involved in sourcing to purchasing of your goods and services to meet demand. In as much as you have the idea and you also know what to do, if procurement is not within all your processes, then it will be actually very difficult for you to meet your customers' demand, because procurement would be that function, that arm of supply chain that helps you to determine what you need, where to get what you need, and how to even procure at the most profitable price, such that your organization is able to meet its demand. Procurement is a key player in supply chain management. It ensures uninterrupted flow of materials and services for business operations to run smoothly. So it involves the application of Agile principles, nothing too different, but the fact that the agility, the ability for your procurement process to be able to respond promptly or adapt to changing market situations is where Agile procurement comes in. And this is becoming the most effective procurement method globally. All right, so one may ask, why would I want to, bother myself about getting Agile procurement or incorporating Agile procurement into my business? Now, we are going to be talking about the challenges with the current procurement process. And the first part of it is over time, or let me say in my years of experience or is more as sort of been termed as this back-end function. Organizations or even other functions of the business doesn't see procurement as the key or like the backbone of supply chain. We just feel, oh, it's just for us to buy. After all, everybody buys. After all, everybody negotiates. After all, I buy things for my family. I run things in my home. So I can as well do procurement. And unfortunately, that has killed so many organizations, because when you have a procurement team that is not experienced, that is not tailored to understand the current procurement requirements, you would definitely, there is no way they're going to negotiate well for you to make your profit. So it's been termed as back-end functions that people are just sort of dumped into that department to run the process. So, and this has been a challenge with the conventional procurement process, especially when you even pick organizations that have been in businesses for so long. You know, when you check out the procurement, you even realize that some of these team members have no understanding or have no background in procurement. And so it becomes challenging for them to easily adapt to changing circumstances. Now, the second thing is time consuming. Conventional procurement process, you know, at times full of manual processes, lengthy procurement cycles. When you begin to look at how, you know, the processes from one table, from one table to the other to get approvals, when you actually take an overall look of how long it takes for things to be procured, services to be rendered, is actually very lengthy. And that has not helped supply chain, because in this new normal, your organization, your procurement team has to be very, you know, swift. The third challenge with the conventional procurement process is the inefficient data management. Of course, it's time-consuming, it's manual process, it's paper-based, and this is prone to error, tampering of information, and also lack of reliable data. When you check through organizations, you'll be surprised that when you ask for history on how their procurement spend or their procurement the categories of their procurement, they are unable to provide, because that data is not available. You know, when you run a manual process, when you run a process that is so cumbersome, it becomes very difficult for you to be able to track and to, you know, manage your data. Now, another challenge with the conventional, which is the traditional procurement process that we all see around, that's been run with organization, is opacity of the procurement process. There's no clear visibility into the procurement stages, no non-transparent business practices, you know, because it's duplication of contracts. When, you know, things have been done manually, it's of course definitely prone to error. You really don't know what is going on at what particular stage of the procurement process. So it becomes a challenge. And the last challenge I'll talk about, which, you know, our topic today speaks to, is the adaptation, the inability to swiftly respond to dynamic market conditions and embrace new technologies. And this is COVID-19 was a practical example to adaptability. So in COVID, while I saw some organizations make millions of money, thousands of US dollars, some organizations folded up. Some organizations saw it as an opportunity to quickly take advantage, while some of the organizations, because of course the conventional procurement process sort of restricted them, it was difficult for them to respond. And at the time they were responding, other businesses have taken over. An example is the hand sanitizer. During COVID time, while I saw one organization able to maximize that opportunity to make thousands of sales and, you know, get value for their business, some other organization was still strategizing. They were still trying, how do we go about this? And before you know it, the whole market was flooded with hand sanitizer. So that's being said, these are some of the few. There are so many other ones, but at a glance, and the ones that actually speaks to procurement is what I've listed, and this has been a challenge. And so today we'll go into supply chain excellence. Now, in simple terms, I would say supply chain excellence is basically getting the right products to the right place, in the right quantities, at the right time, at the desired quality, the very first time. Now, the key thing here is the very first time, because that's where agility comes in, the ability to be able to respond to market situation the very first time, and such that your customers, receive what you're bringing, and it actually gives the basis for excellence. So while eliminating waste and being adaptable to change, it involves optimizing the end-to-end supply chain processes for better customer satisfaction. Nothing more speaks to supply chain excellence than being able to ensure that all the processes within the supply chain is properly optimized for the benefit of your customer. Now, speed and efficiency are no longer sufficient. Excellent companies now build agility, adaptability, and rigorous resource alignment into their supply chains. I'm going to talk about the key drivers for supply chain excellence briefly. And the first one is connectivity. Just as I talked about the SCORE model for supply chain operations. Now, supply chain has different sections, right from the planning to the sourcing to the procurement to the production itself. Now, the connectivity part of it talks about the interrelatedness of these processes, the ability, for these processes to be able to work together. They are connected in one way. The effect of one, if a section of the supply chain is not efficient, definitely it affects all other parts. So it's more like a ripple effect on supply. So connectivity is actually very key supply chain excellence. Now, the second part is the visibility. Now, this talks about real-time visibility into the supply chain process. At every point in time, I know what is happening with my planning. I know what is happening with my sourcing. I know what is happening with procurement. I know what is happening with manufacturing, logistics, distribution, and all of that. So it talks about ability for a business to be able to say, oh, at this point of my supply chain, this and this and this are what is happening. So the visibility is actually very important. Now, the third driver of supply chain excellence is collaboration. Now, supply chain has gone beyond where you have these integrated processes. No. Now, for you to achieve supply chain excellence, then you must be willing to collaborate. The ability for cross-functional teams along the supply chain, along the value chain, the ability for them to collaborate, to be able to work together in synergy to ensure the efficiency of your supply chain process. Now, the fourth part is optimization. And then, of course, this talks about continuous improvement for effective results, basically, and taking into account all influencing factors. So while you're optimizing, you're also considering what if scenarios. So optimization also drives supply chain excellence. And the fifth part is the execution. I haven't said all of this, ability to connect, to have visibility, collaborate, optimize. Then it's time for you to execute. So this talks about taking actual steps for continuous improvement. And the last part of it, which is also very important, I said earlier about getting your products the very right time to at the right time to your supplier. So speed is also very key, because whatever you are doing, if you're not fast, if you're not swift, just as I said, companies don't compete with each other. Absolutely. In fact, companies, businesses, they collaborate, they work hand in hand. But then the most important thing that differentiates every other business from any other business is their supply chain, because the ability for your supply chain to swiftly respond to the market situation gives you the edge. And so companies don't compete with each other, supply chains do. Okay. So right into Agile procurement. So I'm going to be talking about the key features of Agile procurement. I said earlier initially that one of the challenge of procurement is inexperienced team. So for you to be able to ensure that your procurement process is Agile, then you have to, of course, focus on your procurement team. As the saying goes, a chain is strongest. Now, a chain, I'm trying to get that. A chain is as strong as its weakest link. So if you have a team, a procurement team, where there is a loophole, there is a gap, it's definitely going to have an impact on the procurement agility. So procurement requires diverse set of skills and capabilities. Now, as an organization that wants to thrive, as an organization that wants to ensure that the procurement process is agile, then they have to focus on their team, build up your team, ensure that your team has the diverse skills that is required to be able to perform optimally. relationship management, understanding industry trends. In fact, procurement has gone beyond people just coming to say, oh, I know how to buy, I know how to source. It's just to look for it, I can do it. No, procurement now requires teams that are versatile, that has an understanding of how their actions, how their processing impacts the bottom line of a business. At this point, agile procurement requires people or procurement professionals who have understanding of the core business. And when I talk about core business, you're also talking about the financial part. You need to have team members that have the interest to understand it. Okay, what is PBT? How I buy, how does my negotiation skill have an impact on the PBT of my business or on the gross margin of my organization? So it's very key. And also relationship management. Over time, I've seen professionals, procurement professionals have bad relationship, bad habits, or bad, how do I put it, not up to standard morale to interact with suppliers. And the truth is, when your relationship management outside your internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders is also very key, because that also gives you a leverage. As I delve into these key features, I would explain better. Now, upskill and equip your team with the right culture, tools, methodologies, technologies for adaptable decision making. As a business, as an organization, when you're setting up your procurement function, be sure to upskill, be sure to explain or put out there to your team member the culture, the right culture that you expect from anyone handling a procurement role. The next part of agile procurement I'm going to talk about is collaboration. Oftentimes, in my years of experience, of course, I've worked in different organizations and I've seen the kind of culture, and I've also seen how procurement departments and every other department relate. Agile procurement moves away from the siloed and disconnected supply chains, really. You see a situation where an organization will just feel, oh, procurement is just there. It's a different section. It's not even part of the business. No. For your organization to run an agile procurement, then there has to be this connection, there has to be this synergy, the ability to build relationships both with internal and external stakeholders, leading to improved coordination in the entire value chain. So be ready to collaborate, be ready to bring in every stakeholder, even outside the suppliers, outside your vendors. Bring in your internal stakeholders, your staff, your every other function, the finance, the production, the audit, and every other. Ensure that they are all working in synergy, because with that, it gives the procurement department a leverage, an opportunity to be able to adapt quickly and respond to situations in the market. Now, the third part of agile procurement that I will talk about is adopt technology. I've also seen that most organizations, maybe probably because of the cost of technology, as at then or even as at now, they find it very difficult to leverage on digital tools. If you want to run a procurement section, an agile procurement to respond swiftly to organization, then be ready to leverage on digital tools. It's actually very, 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 very important. Now, there are so many digital tools out there, a lot of them. Special thanks to last month's speaker who talked about artificial intelligence in supply chain management, and it spoke a lot and gave us even real examples where you have a technology that is analyzing your quotation, or suggesting your demand and your plans and everything. So it's an opportunity when an organization wants to run a procurement process that is agile, then that organization needs to be ready to leverage on digital tools, cloud-based solutions where the analytics and automations, repetitive tasks. One other thing for procurement professionals is that we seem to have lots of repetitive tasks. So being able to adopt technology to take over that part, the automation, where you have a request to procure something, maybe an organization is launching a new product, and you have a deadline to say, oh, we want to launch a new product, we expect to put this product to the market in the next 2-3 months. Now, imagine you running a conventional procurement process. It's not going to happen. So digital tools will help you to easily, respond to that requirement. You can send out your request to your suppliers online. Your analytics can help you do an analysis of your quote requirements and know which supplier, which vendor is offering you, the best value. So it's very important. Adopt modern procurement approaches, e-sourcing. Now, over time, technology, or let me say procurement, has gone beyond when you want to buy something, you're calling one person, calling the other, calling the whole of Nigeria or Africa to get. Just at the click of your button, you go online, go to your e-sourcing tool, you see list of suppliers that have been verified, that has what you're looking for. So it makes the time, the time between you sourcing, it makes your sourcing time shorten. So it's very important. And also we have e-procurement tools. Now, when there are tools, there are automations where you can easily tell you send out your request. It automatically sends out that request to all your suppliers. And when they send in and tells them to return their an email or return to that platform to send their quotations. And that automation or that analytics or that software will be able to do an analysis of what has coming and then just gives you a summary. I can imagine the time procurement professionals now spend nowadays trying to analyze quotations to know, okay, which supplier has cheapest, which one has the good quality. The back and forth, is actually very long. And before you know it, time has gone. Another technology that can be leveraged upon is the supplier relationship management tools, which are written as SRMA. This also helps you to have clear visibility into your supplier activities. You're able to track their performance. You're able to know which supplier is actually performing well, which supplier is actually aligning with your business objective to ensure that you launch into the market as swiftly as possible. I also said you need to create a centralized system for all data and documents. This has been a challenge over the years with organizations, even multinationals, the ability to be able to track data and also use data for, procurement data now, and also use it to make good business decisions. And the fourth thing I'm also going to talk about on Agile procurement is supplier relationship management. And this here actually takes a toll. For some organizations, they have their supply base sort of streamlined. There's some that you have a whole lot of suppliers and you need to manage all of them. So supplier relationship management is very key for you if you want to run an agile procurement. And the first part is categorizing your suppliers and developing strategies to manage them. Now, we can also use the Pareto analysis here, the 80-20 rule. When you look deeply into your supplier base, you realize that only 20% of your supplier base gives you the 80% of the value that you get. So it's actually very important that you categorize your suppliers and ensure that, okay, this is supplier A is able to deliver, to perform optimally. This other category, supplier C, supplier B, and supplier C. When you categorize them, you are able to sort of develop strategies to manage each of these categories. The way you are going to manage or relate with your supplier that is actually very key, or sort of supplies, is the only supplier that supplies your key raw material, it's going to be very different from the way you manage every other, let's say, engineering consumables. It's going to be very different. So you need to be able to have that visibility into your supplier base to know which supplier is actually very critical to my business, which supplier is actually very critical to ensuring that I'm able to deliver on my job, deliver, optimally, such that a product can be launched into the market swiftly. So I said categorize your suppliers and develop relationship strategies that foster trust, openness, and long-term partnerships. Now, procurement has gone beyond when we see suppliers as just like they are looking for a favor. Really, it has gone beyond that. When you are interacting with a supplier, you are not doing them a favor. Neither are they doing you a favor. You are both in a business relationship. The results you get from that relationship also dependent on how you relate with that supplier. So suppliers are key partners in ensuring that you achieve your goal. So for procurement professionals, the way you relate with your supplier is actually very key. Another part in supplier relationship management is also you need to expand your supplier base. And in terms of this, while I said you categorize suppliers, why okay, supplier A, supplier B, supplier C, you categorize them, you also need to expand that. So when you categorize, you probably realize that, oh, I only have one key supplier for my key material. Then you also want to look into, okay, how can I expand this base? How can I get an additional supplier that would not also impact the existing supplier? Because of course they know themselves where they meet, they know that, oh, you are supplying to those organization. I'm also supplying. What do you supply? And before you know it, it's all over. So you want to be sure that while you are maintaining that strategic relationship or strategic partnership with your key suppliers, you also need to expand that base. Be sure that what if your key supplier just wakes up one day and the business is over? Would the organization also be over? So you need to expand that base. And also supplier collaboration. I've seen scenarios, or in fact, few suppliers have come to me to say, oh, there is this technology that is coming up, and I think it's going to be good for your business. So this would not come if there has not been a good relationship with the supplier. They would probably be keeping that innovation, that new trend for themselves to their best customers. So based on how you relate with your supplier, they are able to tell you, oh, this is what is going on. This is the industry trend we are seeing. And we think if we incorporate this into your process or into what we supply or give to you, it will help you get benefits. It could, reduce your cost. It could give you more value than what you're currently enjoying. So that relationship is very key. So when you collaborate with your suppliers, see them as partners, see them as people that you cannot do without for you to run your organization effectively. And I'd also said you need to onboard innovative suppliers. Ensure that people you are bringing in are people that are out there, understand the industry trend, as they are key players in their field. They know what they're doing, because they would be the one giving you information to say, oh, this is the new trend, this is the way the business is going, this is the new things, what we see coming up in the nearest future, and it will be good for you to adapt. And another key feature of agile procurement is risk management. And I'm sure that most organizations failed here when COVID happened. While some organizations were making money, majority of organizations closed up. I could remember during COVID, one of our key suppliers from one company I had worked with sort of just said, oh, we're trying to get a material, and said the company has shut down. Unfortunately, we had always bought from them. We didn't have any other source. And it became a challenge. For months, we couldn't produce that product until we started to now say, okay, how can we get this thing? Who else can? And we started the process all over. So this point, risk management is very key. It's very key for agile procurement. The what if scenarios. You need to develop strategies to mitigate procurement and supply chain. Procurement and supply chain risks are out there, is everywhere. You can't, in fact, it's all over. And a case in point is this Forex issues. I'm sure procurement professionals now can tell you how it's been very difficult, getting Forex to even import, or you have seen scenarios where you had finalized a contract with a supplier and all you're waiting for is delivery. And the next call you hear is, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can't deliver because Forex has gone up, things have changed, I cannot do this, it's a loss, and you're stuck. So for you to run a procurement process that is actually very, agile, you need to develop strategies to mitigate risk. What if this supplier that has been supplying me this particular item, couldn't do? What would happen? And also, while you determine this risk, while you note this risk, you need to develop contingency plans to address potential disruptions. COVID-19 taught everyone this, and I'm sure that businesses now do better, because we are now trying, okay, what if this happens? What is my fall to plan? So we make a contingency plan such that when there are disruptions, it doesn't fully have a great impact on the supply chain. So even if it's going to have an impact, it's going to be very minimal, because we have actually understood these risks ahead and we have also made plans to mitigate it. The last thing I'm going to talk about on features of agile procurement is continuous improvement. Now, it's not a one-size-fits-all. And I know that for some organizations, once they say, oh, this is our process, this is our policy, that is it. You can't change it. And they keep on running that process for years, even if the world has moved far above what is going on. So they just feel it's the process, it's the policy. So let's just get stuck with it. For agile procurement, it doesn't work that way. It's a continuous improvement. You need to continually review your processes. You need to go over it over and over and regularly review processes for aim of streamlining to enhance efficiency and effectiveness. You can look at your procurement, look at your entire value chain. What are you doing? How best can you improve it such that I'm able to respond, faster or much better than how I used to do? So this is where continuous improvement comes in. Include performance indicators. Yes, while you are ensuring that you are very, agile, you adapt to things, you're reviewing your processes, you're making changes, be sure that you are tracking. There's a saying that what is not measured does not get improved on. So you need to be sure that you are checking the performance. Or how have we performed? How were we able to respond to market situation in the last 3 months? So how are we now, how will we be able to respond to market in the next 6 months? So we need to be able to track that performance, incorporate flexibility into procurement processes and contracts. Now I know that over time, procurement process can be very rigid, like really very rigid, because everybody's just being careful. You're talking of millions of dollars. You don't want any mistake. You don't want any error. You just want to be sure that once I've set out the contract, let the contract run. There is no room for, we won't entertain any sort of change, any price. No. For you to run a process that is continually evolving, you need to be able to be flexible. If something is happening and you feel, oh, there is a contract out there, and all of a sudden there is a forex issue, or there is let's say, a change in customer requirement, procurement process should be able to adapt to say, oh, okay, if this has happened, then what's the next step? What do we do next? How can we quickly swift into action to ensure that we achieve this, business goals? So procurement process, we need to be very flexible in our procurement processes and also our contracts. So I'm rounding off, so I'm going to be talking about the benefits of implementing agile procurement. Now, these benefits cannot be overemphasized. There are a lot of them. I've just tried to summarize them in 5 points. And the first one is it enables organizations to make intelligent business moves faster. When you understand your procurement process, when you incorporate agility or adaptability into your process, you have a few, just as I talked about earlier on the 6 drivers of supply chain excellence, you have a clear visibility into your process. So you are able to make decisions faster, where some other organizations are still, trying to understand the process, okay, what is happening in the market? How do we go about it? You are able to respond immediately because you have all your data right before you. You can easily take that decision. Now, the next thing is also that it leads to better supplier relationships. As suppliers are well integrated into the processes, thereby leveraging on their expertise. As I said earlier, when you're conscious of how you relate with your suppliers, there's this synergy, there's this, collaboration with your supplier. It helps, they feel very valued. They feel like they are also stakeholders in your business. And with that, you are able to leverage on their expertise. I've seen scenarios where suppliers are, will come with an idea. Probably we're thinking of something else, and supplier comes and says, okay, let's do it this way. And you incorporate it and you get your value. Not all suppliers will do that. Not all suppliers will even do that to any business. They must have been able to build, strong relationship. They have this trust and this confidence in you for them to be able to tell you, okay, this is what is happening. So you're able to leverage on their expertise. While an organization is sourcing or looking for where to source for an item, the supplier has already told you, oh, I know another supplier that does this. Can you reach out to them? They make the links for you. So it becomes easy for you to be able to, respond to that need. Another benefit of implementing agile procurement is that it reduces unnecessary spending by aligning procurement decisions with needs. This is basically cost efficiency. Over time, the conventional process just wants, oh, this is what we want to buy, and this is what we want to do. This is where we're looking at, and we all just start buying. We all start, doing that preparation, making plan, and then buying. No, for agile procurement, you understand, each step, and you're able to align what your decisions to each step. And with that, you're able to, spend as at when necessary. I've seen organizations say, oh, we want to launch a product, and then start buying materials for the product, and eventually the product doesn't get launched, and the materials are just there. You procure the materials, the money money is tied down in inventory. So it helps you to be able to understand each step of your process and also align your procurement decisions to it. Another benefit of agile procurement is it allows for continuous risk assessment and mitigation throughout the supply chain. And I said earlier that a key feature of agile procurement is risk management. You, as a procurement professional, there's no way you won't want to assess your risk. There's no way you would be able to perform effectively without understanding the risk that is associated with your work. So agile procurement helps you to continually assess this risk and look for ways to sort of reduce the effect or the impact of this risk on your entire value chain. And the last part is it places strong emphasis on meeting customer demand and improving customer satisfaction. And this is what we would also call as a competitive advantage. I said initially about COVID-19, how I saw organizations, dishing out hand sanitizers up here and there, whereas there's some other organizations, they were still planning, and they didn't get to do. So when you understand the customer needs, you have a process that is very swift and can adapt to anything. It gives you a competitive advantage. While your competitors are still, looking for how to launch a product in the market, your product is already out there because your procurement process understands the scenario and they're able to respond adequately to meet production requirements. Okay, so in conclusion, the value added to business based on agile procurement transformation is that it strengthens readiness to address unforeseen risk and deal with evolving demands, really. There's always a saying that human wants are insatiable, if I'm right. So it's just more like your customer demands. Customer demands, market demands are continually evolving. What was in vogue in the last 1 year is not what is in vogue anymore, and it would not be what would be in vogue in the next 1 year. So the demand is evolving, and as it's evolving, an organization that is, tailored to agile procurement should be able to respond as the market is evolving. Now, agile procurement relies heavily on technology-driven solutions, which help to centralize approvals, speed up procurement operations. No, I said earlier that for conventional procurement process, when you want to buy something or there's a project at hand, you'll be surprised that documents will keep moving from one table to the other, to the next, and to the next, and before you know it, your time is gone. So agile procurement relies heavily on data. It's very important. In fact, in this jet age, in this jet world, a business that is serious and knows what it wants must be ready to invest in technology. There's no way. Artificial intelligence is here and there. Robots are taking over human jobs. So we need to be, we need to be very vast and versatile to ensure that we incorporate these technologies into our processes to help us better decide. As also said, centralizes approvals, speed up operation. I know procurement operations at times can be very frustrating, really. It can be very, while you feel that, oh, I'm almost concluding on a project, you just hear a call, oh, sorry, that contract cannot fly anymore. Oh, sorry, our business need has changed. Oh, or sorry, oh, we want something different. And you go back to the drawing board, starting over and over again. So when you have a technology-driven process, it becomes easier. All those repetitive tasks, all those approvals can be done at a click of a button. So it's very important that organizations look into that. Now, agile procurement moves away from the silo disconnected supply chains to building relationships. I talked about this earlier. every procurement professional will understand how important it is to build relationships. For you to thrive, in this new normal, you must be able to build relationships. It gets your internal and external stakeholders to trust you, to trust your judgment, to understand that, oh, what this person is doing, this person actually knows or this business understands the market trend and they are moving in line with it. So you want to be able to build that relationship, ensure there's synergy within your business and even outside your business. Outside your business, meaning your suppliers, your distributors, your vendors. Ensure that this synergy, this collaboration is there. Now, for a business to experience real success, it has to put agile procurement into practice. Now, procurement has a very high impact in the performance of a business, because as long as a business exists, there's no way you won't run expenses. You would run expenses, especially when it's even a manufacturing organization. You run expenses, and every kobo, every cent, every dollar you are negotiating has an overall impact on the bottom line of the organization. So for an organization that is, focused on ensuring that they make profit, then they must be willing to invest in agile procurement and also ensure that their procurement team is negotiating well for the benefit of the business. Agile procurement will help businesses reduce costs and maintain a competitive edge in this dynamic business environment. So I said this earlier, that when you have a procurement function that is tailored to, agility, they're able to understand or see the different stages of the procurement process, understand the needs as when it arises, and then spend accordingly. So with this, you're able to leverage on your costs. They're able to better negotiate, and gives you that competitive edge, that advantage over your competitors. So I think this is the end of my slide. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great. This is great. We want to thank our guest lecturer for this beautiful and attractive lecture. Well delivered. Engineer Adeosun, over
Yes,
to
sir.
you.
Thank you very much, Yemisi Ashimolo. Beautifully and well delivered. Thank you for broadening our knowledge on the current practice. We believe you are in the field, that you know what is currently in vogue. Thank you very much for that. Now we'll take the chairman's remark. Our chairman's remark, Mr. Lawrence Adedokun. Chairman, sir.
Thank you.
For your remark.
Thank you very much. Good evening once again. That was a really good one, Engineer Yemisi Ashimolo. Thank you for a well-packaged lecture there. And, as much as I've learned, I believe everybody here present today has also learned the benefits of, agile procurement in logistics. So in supply chain, sorry. So there are some take-home points here that I would like to just quickly run over, which I believe is a benefit that any project implementation would really benefit from. So first off is the experience and equipment procurement team. Now I'm just running through the key features of the Agile procurement plan here as laid by the speaker. So a team must be experienced in what they do and their capability. So understanding the industry trends and all of that, these are really This is one key point that cannot be overemphasized in procurement, because without the proper knowledge and experience in executing this, it won't be as efficient and undertaking. So one take home that I also see really important and would want to emphasize again is collaboration. As you can't really work in silos in executing agile procurement, you have to operate more or less a flat system here where internal and external stakeholders are able to communicate and continually improve the entire value chain. Also, she mentioned technology as a really key point here, which with the use of AI these days and all of that, any organization looking to deploy agile procurement should benefit or use tools, technology tools, to enable them carry out those functions seamlessly and benefit as much as they could from technology, as this will also enable them manage data and in a centralized system, as you said. Not being able to leverage on data and technology is a potential problem, and which you should cite as examples of situation with the COVID-19 that we just went through, where some companies had to fold up because they couldn't really position themselves to benefit from the situation at hand. They were able to respond swiftly with the help of technology in this case, and while some other companies couldn't even survive the period. Also, as part of the features that she mentioned on agile procurement is relationship with supplier. Supplier management is really key. As she had mentioned, she also cited the Pareto rule, where 20% of all of your goods are supplied by, 80% of your goods are supplied by 20% of your suppliers. And so it's really essential that you have good relationship, build relationship that's reliable with key partners to enable you succeed in your endeavor. Also, it's good to also expand your supplier base, according to her. Don't always rely on a single supplier. I can relate to that, my personal endeavors. In cases where, in the past, where we've relied on individual single supplier, it has always come back to, processes where the supplier drops the ball. So in as much as you do not want them to think that you're dropping them, it's always good to have backups in there. So yeah, it's good to have good relationship with supplier, and also onboard innovative suppliers as they can keep up to the current happenings in the industry and all of that. She also went over the risk management aspect of the agile procurement, which is also very important, necessary to mitigate risk. it's necessary to mitigate risk in when you plan to just like said earlier, make sure that in case your supplier is not able to meet demand or a supplier fails, part of the risk mitigation is also to always have a substitute for your work. And lastly, she mentioned continuous improvement. Yes, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to make your system more, flexible, and you also want to monitor your performance indicators and see how things are progressing. Try to inculcate more flexibility into the system such that you are able to respond swiftly to changes in the supply process and procurement processes. So yes, I've gained quite a lot of information and knowledge through this delivery here today. And again, I want to say a big thank you to Engineer Yemisi Ashimolu for this delivery. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Chairman, the MD, Mafta Construction, Cagliari, Alberta, Canada. We appreciate you and your kind words to us. Now we want to take questions. Okay, before questions, we'll take goodwill messages from our audience. Please kindly signify if you have goodwill messages for our guest, for our lecturer. Okay, goodwill messages. All right, I believe the goodwill message will come in as we move on. We want to take questions right now. As many of us that have questions, kindly signify so that you can be unmuted and you can ask your question. But before that, let me see, we have a question from one of our audience. And the question is this. It says, how do we navigate the balance between quality and cost when it comes to screening suppliers? So, let me say, I hope you got that.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, I'm sure this is a question that actually rings in the head of every procurement person, even people in organizations who wonder how suppliers get awarded jobs or how things are being done. It's actually so I'm going to explain this in detail. Now, basically, when it comes to screening or selecting a supplier for a particular project or for getting a particular item, there's something you consider, which is the total cost of ownership. Now, this total cost of ownership goes beyond, what is the immediate cost of this thing? It extends to what cost would I have incurred in my 2 years of using this thing, or in my 1 year of running this service. That's what total cost of ownership. So now, for you to balance the two, there are basically, key things to be watched, to watch out for. Now, the first thing is you buying or you trying to procure this service, you need to understand your need. Now, because when you understand your need, you are able to determine what quality means to you. So say, for example, I want to buy, let's say I want to buy a generator. And okay, so the first point is what kind of a generator I want to buy. Is it a 500 kVA? Is it a 200 kVA? Is it a 40 kVA? Now, the next thing is, okay, I've gotten the rating of my generator. Am I looking to buying a soundproof generator? Am I looking to buy a Cummins brand? Am I looking to buy a Meccano? So you at your, the initial point of need identification, you need to understand what quality you're looking for. And so when you highlight that quality, okay, this is what I want, then it's based on what you want, you advertise or you send out a request to your approved suppliers to give you a quote. Now, when you receive this quote, other thing you need to do now, you understand the fact that they are quoting based on your own specification. Now, there have also been scenarios where your specification may not be what is in the industry or what is in the trend or what is applicable. I've seen scenarios where we had actually placed out a request and then we get feedback to say, oh, this product is no longer in production. It has been faded off. So there is a new improved one. So at that point, when your supplier sends out your quote, now you now want to decide, what is my budget? That's also another thing to consider while you're taking your selection. I mentioned, consider your requirements, your need. So when you know your need, you know the kind of quality you're looking for. And when you know that, you know your budget. I may want to ride a Ferrari when I probably just have money for a Corolla. So it's a different thing. So I would rather just go with a Corolla that I have the money for. So you're also considering your budget. Now, when you have those two things, you're not checking. At times, suppliers can be very funny. And they can be very funny in quote because just because they want to get that contract, they want to get that job, they sort of underquote. So when you are trying to decide which to go with, you need to understand the cost composition of your suppliers. Now, I have supplier 1, 2, 3 giving me quotes. One supplier's cost is like 50% higher than the other. And the third one is within it. By default, when you have quotes from suppliers, the difference in their range is usually within a 10% to 15% difference. So when you are seeing that huge gap, then you want to question. So call that supplier. Okay, what is your cost composition? We have seen scenarios whereby one supplier, they are actually quoting for the same thing, but it could just be that one supplier already had that thing in stock. So imagine somebody bringing in an item from, let's say, India or China, and this person brought it in as at when dollar was 400 naira. And now I'm requesting for a quote for that same thing. Dollar is already 1,000 thereabout. So the person bringing it now would have a higher cost compared to the person that brought it into the country last year at 400. So when they send you the quote, obviously your first instinct will say, this person quoting lower is quoting fake, which is not. So we need to understand, the cost composition. When you dig deep into what they are offering you, okay, if truly this person is quoting the right thing or not. So I hope I've been able to, as I said, you understand your need, when you understand your need, you understand your quality, and then understand your budget. When you understand your budget, then you now need to understand the cost compositions of your supplier. So based on that feedback they give to you, in fact, it makes it very glaring and easy to know which supplier to go with. I hope that answers.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yemisi. We have a question from our audience, Mr. Engineer Oladapo Muhyiddin.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for this great lecture and opportunity to share your experience and knowledge with us. My question is, you made mention why you are going through the slides that the verify suppliers. So I want to know, does that verify suppliers, does it applicable to local suppliers also and are not limited to international supplier? Then does it cut across all the sectors? For instance, I'm into power sectors and renewable. I do a lot of supplies because I'm an EPC company. I want to know, is there a verified page where one can register as a supplier, and how can I access that page? Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, I get your question. So I'm going to explain that in two phases. Now, the first phase is as an organization or as a business, you should have your own registered or accredited suppliers. So you want to buy something, you just don't walk up to anybody to buy. So you need to have a base, a supply base, whereby you have list of people that you have actually spoken with, you have verified them, you have sort of done some background work, you have seen their past projects, you have seen their past jobs, you know their client base, and then you have brought them in to be your registered vendor. So that's one part of it. And this could be for local vendors and foreign vendors. So one way to go about, getting your own, as a business, getting your own accredited vendor is you could go online. Say, for example, I want to buy something I've not bought before. Probably say, as an example, I want to buy a television. I've not bought a television. I don't know who sells the television. I don't even know where to get it. Your first point of call, is probably Google to check, okay, suppliers of television in Nigeria or suppliers of television in Mumbai, India. It gives you a list. And so when you go through those lists, you probably, check up their website. Oh, okay, what have they done? What have they done? Try and surf the net to understand this business. For a business that is, let me put it in quote, that is functional or is actually in the business, you can easily see them all over the place, because they are probably, online. They've transacted with other businesses that have even put their company name on their own website. So you're able to see. Coming into Nigeria, where if you are trying to source, when you source for local, vendors or suppliers, you can easily go to the CAC platform to check, okay, is this supplier registered? So from your point, that's like a first point of call to know if the supplier is registered, and then you can start doing business with them after due diligence. So now, outside, the second part is we have organizations that are actually focused in accrediting suppliers. So what I mean is their own service, or the service they render, is that they verify suppliers. So you will just need to subscribe to their, to their program, and then you are able to access supply. I mentioned something like e-sourcing in my lecture. There are companies that does e-sourcing. E-sourcing is more like you going online and then say, I need 50 bags of cement. You send it out on that platform. Suppliers will be the ones reaching out to you. I have 50 bags of cement at this price. This is the quality. So you get feedbacks. So that's another e-sourcing too. So for foreign suppliers, it's still the same. You use e-sourcing tools, you use procurement. I said they are verified. I know that there is one on Bass Street. They are involved in, getting suppliers. They reach out to suppliers, register with them. You do their background check and gives them a number. It's more like a Dun and Bradstreet number. So that number, for organizations like NNPC, all these, major organizations, before you can work with them as a supplier, as a vendor, you must have that number. So you can even check it up online. So there are organizations like that are focused on accrediting or verifying, suppliers. So when you need a supplier, you just need to walk up to them, write them an email, or check on their website, suppliers, and you will get a ton, like a list of different suppliers, different categories, different sections. So you're able to make your choice. But as a business, my own first point of contact is to say, if you need to have your own verified list, where at any time you want to buy something, you are reaching that person. You are not just starting over and over, afresh to, look for the background. You already have them registered. They are your base, and you can reach them to them at any point in time. I hope that answers your questions.
Okay, thank you, Yamisi. Because of our time, we'll take the questions as short as we can. I have a question here and says, Yamisi, can you compare procurement in private practice with the public practice? Is there a difference?
There is a difference.
Okay.
Well, there is a difference. However, procurement processes are the same. It's not different. The procurement process, let me say, the procurement skill you would need to run a public procurement is the same procurement skill you would need to run a private procurement. I hope that clarifies. It's the same skill. However, there are peculiarities to these things. As a private organization, you have your policies, you have your standards, So when you are procuring as per such policies. So for some organization, it could be that, oh, at any time you want to buy something, you must have a minimum 3 suppliers you get quotations from and compare their costs. In a public practice, it could be that it's just been awarded. And then we know, when we consider how procurement is, considering our good country, Nigeria, we know how things work. It could be that somebody is just appointed to say, oh, we want to build a road. Okay, so go and do it. No thorough diligence, no scrutiny, no, proper check to see, okay, does this person actually have this skill? So procuring for a public corporation is quite different from the private corporation. And this is because there are different policies and procedures or policies basically to this individual organization. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, MEC. We have one question from Dr. Adeyeye Ademola.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
And
Good evening, sir.
Our lecturer, we really appreciate this presentation. And also happy to see some faces, especially that of Lawrence Adedokun. And the question I want to ask is related to that one, the case of private and public. You have given the picture of Nigerian public environment. But I want to ask, is it the same in some other climes in terms of the way things are done, non-diligence and all those things? In fact, I'm talking of what happened to me today. I went to renew the vehicle, the license of my vehicle. And when they gave it to me, the vehicle license bears Adeyeye. The one on proof of ownership, Adeleye. And when I asked them questions, they said that they are from, I said, you people have computerized your system. The only way that they said there are different databases that they are using and that they can't correct it, meaning that it's not agile. I have to wait till now when I want to renew next year. So when you were giving the lecture, I was now thinking that even maybe some of our companies that are folding up, owned by Nigerian government, Oduatel has nothing to tell. We have Nairobi, many of them like that. It may be because of the problem of supply chain, because we have now seen that it's not the companies that are competing, but the supply chain. So how do we really address this issue? Because I feel that government ministries and parastatals also need to wake up and apply some of these things for us, because we are talking about cost of governance and some other things that we at least stop the leakages we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. Well, for me, I would say that I think the major challenge we have with the public public procurement would probably be the bureaucratic process, basically. Because now, you had mentioned something about mistakes. When I talked in my lecture, I talked about something, centralizing data, collaboration. I know that it could actually be from, peculiar to public organization, because there is no clear-cut procedure to how things are done. You get to Dex A. Dex A probably wants to run it the way he understands it. And this also goes back to inexperienced people handling procurement functions. So that's one part of it. And also the bureaucratic process of public organizations. So really, there's really little we can do to impact that, because except there's a total revamp of the public sector. Outside that, it's not the same for you. I know you had also asked that if it's the same for other companies, other countries. Well, their countries differ. There are peculiarities to individual countries. So I know that there are some countries, I think South Africa, I know that for you to be an investor or a foreign company trying to build a manufacturing or something, that if your source of your materials must come from the indigene of South Africa. So there's no way you're building a plant and then you don't. I think they issue them a certificate, because I have a procurement professional I also sort of liaise with, and she was mentioning that if you want to buy anything or you want to come in as a supplier, there's a certificate you must present to show that you are actually procuring something from the local market. So for me, for this procurement process to really have a change in the public sector, there has to be a total revamp. Let procedures and policies be properly put in place. The way a private procurement is run is totally different. Private procurement, there are KPIs. You say you're procuring something, there are KPIs to it. So your process is being measured and you are seeing your results. I'm not sure there are KPIs when it comes to public procurement. So we will keep on, keep speaking up and to ensure that narratives are changed. Basically, there's really little we can do in that regard. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, MEC. We have a question from the chat. Just a quick one, MEC. So what advice do you have for those in government agencies on implementing agility to their procurement process, considering the bureaucratic nature of government businesses? So what do you have? Just a quick one. Time is fast spent.
Well, yes, for me, what I would say is, I think I'd even said that earlier. The first step is to really look into the processes and the procedures. If you want to build agility into public procurement, that process, the policy that has been has to be, checked. We need to understand what exactly are we trying to achieve? What do we want to do? So when we understand our objective, then that objective is sort of scaled down into individual processes, individual procedures, basically. So I think that's the first point of call. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much. We have a question from Afolabi Osho. Quickly. Afolabi.
Okay. All right. Good evening, Ma. So my question is all about supply chain and procurement. So I'll first start with supply chain. So when it comes to supply chain, we all know that it's all about getting value that have been created to the last to the customer or probably last consumer when it comes to like product-based enterprise. But the issue that is always faced with all these big industry, especially most of the people that are into manufacturing or processes, it's all about getting that particular product to the last customer because there are disruptions in the supply chain. So the question is, at what level should a manufacturer or a company processing a particular product stop in their supply chain network? Then the number two is when it comes to customer customer relationship with the manufacturer, because take for example, while I was having my IT at Nigerian Brewery, so I noticed that despite the fact that they have a supply chain, the the wholesaler, the retailer to some extent, but let's focus on wholesaler. The wholesaler do not have a kind of the wholesaler and some distributors do not really have access into the mainstream supply chain network because they make use of the ERP system. We all know that we can make use of different ones, SAP, Accentures, Oracles, and a lot of them like that. But the wholesalers, the distributors do not have access into that system, and in most of the case, they have to do the manual monitoring, of which they have to call. Have you getting your order? What are the order plays? So all of these things cannot go on and on. That is why we need all these software tools. But in this kind of particular situation that we found ourselves in Nigeria, what is the way out? How can we properly link how can we properly link up the missing chain in the supply chain? Because obviously we all know that when it comes to chain, the chain is known by strength. The strength of a chain, it's known by its weakest link, and this has always been a problem for supply chain. And to extent, when it comes to procurement as well, it's all about customer. It's all about the supplier and the person requesting. That kind of relationship between them, it is always missing. So how can you solve it in a situation whereby we do not have effective technology to like get all of these things on, to harness all of these players together? Thank you.
All right, okay, thank you for your question. So I'll answer the first one where you have talked about where the manufacturer's responsibility ends in the supply chain. Well, unfortunately, the manufacturer's responsibility does not end. It's a supply chain. When you have a chain, it keeps revolving. There's no end point. If supply chain, the SCORE model, that is basically the supply chain operations reference model, right from the point where a manufacturer identifies a customer's need up to when the customer gets the product, it is fully, it's a chain, and that's basically the manufacturer's responsibility. Now, when a manufacturer identifies a need, you plan for that need, you produce it. After production, you send, you deliver to your customer. I know oftentimes when when you pick up a product, you will see for customer complaints reach this number. Just to say that it's a continual thing. There's no way you would stop. You can't say, oh, I have produced the product and then I stop, I fold my hand. If you do that, you'll be just wake up one morning and realize that your business is gone. Because while there are market challenges, there are complaints on your product, you were not following up. You didn't know. And before you know it, customers have moved to another brand. You just realize you're not selling. And so that's why that return part is very important, because that's where you get feedbacks from the market. And based on the feedback from the market, you are able to adapt that feedback into your own manufacturing process to better improve your customer satisfaction. I hope that clears. Now, the second part where you talked about supplier relationship with manufacturer and distributors, I know it can be very challenging when it comes to, having that collaboration or that coordination with the manufacturer, the distributors, which is and also the wholesalers. Well, one key thing that can really help here is still technology, because I know that oftentimes it's a matter of distributors saying, oh, calling the sales rep, I need this, or the sales rep. Life has gone beyond that. Now, the person selling pepper in the market has a, what's it called now? Is it that POS thing? So to say that life has gone beyond the manual. So for such organization, you want to actually understand the needs of your distributors and how you can use technology to help leverage that. It could be that you develop an app, and just then, after all, every person using a phone will probably have a WhatsApp or something. Develop a simple app that a distributor can just say, oh, I need 10 packs of so, and just send. And with that, your system is able to pick that information, link it to that distributor. And this thing is technology driven. We can't explain it, but it's easy. So it's putting that technology, a simple technology. Now, you don't need to give them all the details, just something simple where they can just open the app and type what they want. And that request is sent directly to your company. And then you make arrangements to ensure that that is delivered. So for me, you need to leverage on technology to be able to solve that situation, because we all cannot keep on going the route of talking, doing the manual. Life has gone beyond that. But other countries are way, I don't want to say Nigeria is far behind. Other countries are doing great things with their supply chain network, really. They're doing great things with their value chain. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much, MEC. Apologies, we won't be able to take any more questions. Our time is fast spent. We are far behind schedule. Apologies, there are so much questions. There are questions online. There are people indicating to ask questions. Please, we won't be able to take any more questions. Right now, I want to take comments from our special guest of honor, Professor Oluyemisi Bangoshe SEA. Please, your comment and your reaction, ma. DVC, ma.
Yes, thank you very much. On behalf of the university management, especially the Vice Chancellor, we want to say that Engineer Yemisi Ashimolowo, we are so proud of you. This lecture is an eye-opener. For me, that I'm in the law profession, I really understood what you were talking about. The lucidity, the way you made this presentation, you made it as if, I think HOD, we need a lecturer, we need more lecturers in that department, and I'm sure that Engineer Yemisi Ashimolowo, we're not saying that you should leave May and Baker, no, we're not saying that, but I'm sure that you can come to class, associate lecturership, you can do that, because the way you made this delivery, any person in any profession will understand. We were able to grasp it, we were able to follow, and it's not something anybody is going away without taking something. Thank you once again for this enlightenment. And once again, I want to thank Engineer Lawrence Adedokun, the chairman, for again facilitating this. And when we talk about the town and the gown, you know, we cannot divorce the town from the gown. We are the gown, you are the town. And by bringing this to us, and also we bring in what we have to you, will make a better economy. So on behalf, once again, on behalf of the management, I want to say a very big thank you. To the HOD, thank you to your department for this. And I hope other faculties and other departments will be able to emulate you. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma. Professor Oluyemisi Bangweshe, SAA, the DVC, Research, Innovation, and Strategic Planning UI. Thank you very much, ma. Now I want to take the closing remark from our guest lecturer. Your closing remark, ma.
Well, I would say that I want to say thank you, actually. Thank you for the compliment. I was actually scrolling through the chat box. I got a bit distracted, and I've been seeing the comments. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate. And I would say that what you're seeing today is also something, you know, it's an investment from our able lecturers and professors. If I start mentioning names, I know a whole lot of them, and they have actually impacted, you know, in us. And we thank God for their lives. We thank God for the good things they have been doing. And so for me, in rounding off to this lecture, I would say that as an organization, as a business, as an individual, you know, we need to look into seeing how we can better improve our processes. As I said initially, Nigeria is we are hoping that we can actually meet up with the rest of the world. So, and the onus lies on us citizens to ensure and see that what we are doing, we are trying to improve. We are also trying to bring in, you know, adopt principles from other countries into our own processes to ensure that we are able to also, you know, be excellent in our activities. So for me, I would say thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be able to speak on this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge to us. We really appreciate it. I personally have gained. Please, you have tutored me in the area of supply chain. Before we close, I want to take a quote from Patrick Hooper. He said, "In today's world, the only way to win is to have a nimble and agile supply chain." I believe everyone that has attended this lecture today has gained one thing or the other that can help us navigate the current world. I want to say thank you to our special guest of honor, Professor Oluyemisi Bangweshe, SAN. We appreciate your presence and your patience with us for the past 2 hours. Thank you very much, Mark. And to our guest of honor, Professor A.O. Adewuyi, the Dean, UI School of Business. We appreciate your presence. And our able chairman for the 14th alumni lecture. We want to say thank you and thank you very much, Mr. Lawrence Adedokun. We appreciate your presence and your contribution. And to our host, our own HOD, Professor V.O. Oladokun. We appreciate you and thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful works. I want to recognize especially the presence of our grandfather, our great-grandfather, Professor Ayodeji Oluleye. Thank you very much for your good works in the department. To everyone that has attended to this lecture that we can't mention, we appreciate your presence. We appreciate your prayer, your patience. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a special announcement to prepare us for the next edition of the lecture, the 15th edition, the December edition of the alumni lecture, which will take place on Friday, December 8th, 2023, 7 p.m. And we are going to look at the topic, impact of team dynamics on the productivity of engineering profession. The impact of team dynamics on the productivity of engineering profession. And our guest lecturer on that day is Engineer S.O. Badmos. He is a supply chain lead of PIC and Lucky Stationery Limited, Nigeria. He graduated in 2008. And the chairman of the day is our own our president, Nigerian Society of Engineers, in person of Engineer Tasiu Sad Gadari Wadil, FNSE. He will be the chairman of that day. Thank you, everyone. I don't know whether Professor Oladokin is here. He wants to make a vote of thanks to everyone tonight. Professor Oladokin, your comment before we close.
Okay. Thank you so much. On behalf of the department, we want to thank our guest lecturer. We want to thank our chairman. We want to thank our DVC. I want to thank the Dean of the School of Business. I want to thank every one of us who has participated in this beautiful event. We appreciate you for adding value to us and for helping us to train our students. And we are so glad you are helping us to be on our toes to up our game. And I'm sure some of the things we've learned today will reflect in some of the way we also teach our students. And I also want to emphasize that the next edition will be very, very, very interesting. You know, we're able to secure the participation of the president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Ludra Gadari Wudi, who has promised to be part of the occasion. And also we are bringing the entire Nigeria engineering family to the program next month. So, and I can also tell you that maybe the other month, the president of Current, the registrar of Current will also be in the house, probably maybe early in the year, next year. So a lot of good people, a lot of the movers and shakers of the society, they are coming, and I don't want us to become discouraged about them. Yeah, the reason why we bring all these people around is so that we can learn and also pass across our message. When they come around, they hear and they also help us to make necessary course correction in the nation. So I want to thank our guest lecturer for adding value to us, and we are so grateful. And I thank everybody. I wish you a wonderful evening. Thank you, and God bless.
So, thank you very much, sir, for that. On this note, I want to say thank you, and I look forward to seeing us in the next edition coming up in December. On behalf of all the IEP the IPEA engagement team, I want to say thank you and thank you for this lecture. I want to say goodbye and see you in the next edition. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.